Hi, Facebook friends. Today is the 10th anniversary of Ted Green's unfortunate passing. As many of you know, Ted was a very important person in my life, still is really. There's so much to learn from him, and in honor of his and the anniversary of his death today, I thought I'd make just a little video, not really a lesson, just sort of talking about a favorite subject of mine. Yesterday in one of my favorite forums on Facebook, there was a discussion about counterpoint and ways of developing the ability to sort of improvise from a jazz perspective with some notion of counterpoint. I'm afraid to get sort of too big for my britches with this, because I know I'm still quite a neophyte when it comes to this subject. It's a huge and vast subject, of course, and the Baroque people have it all sort of squared away. But I'm trying to be, a jazz guitar player, or at least a jazz-oriented player. I'm trying to figure out a way, or trying to develop a way to play music that's got chord changes and use those chord changes in a way to develop a kind of melodic counterpoint. Those kinds of ideas, like taking, say, a C, if the subject is a C chord, and playing just a simple movement in the bottom, and let's say we go to the 7th, and then I'm going to play maybe a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'm going to play quarter notes here, and I'm going to play 8th notes in the melody. I'll go here. And that's an interesting thing to work on. Now I've got octaves with a movement. So octave there, and in a 2-to-1 ratio I play the root, then the 2nd, then the 3rd together with the 4th, then the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 7th, and the root again. That's an interesting thing. Or I can descend. It kind of splits there. Or I can maybe go, starting from a static point, I can go in opposite directions. Turn around because I ran out of fingers. So that was a scale against a scale, 2-to-1 with a split. I say this is splitting this note because you think of it as being one note there, but when it makes the next move, it's almost as if it goes in 2 different directions, up and down. Now it goes down. Try that again. It's always nice to put a little 5-1 at the end of these passages so that they sound complete. So that's one way to do it. You can take systems where you take a scale, to the B note, that's usually like our signal to play some sort of 5-7. Okay. Then go skip over the C and come back to the 1. Now those things are diatonic. They sound quite, airy-fairy in some ways. They're sort of la-di-da music, but it's good to get your brain to work that way. The guys want to go straight to, how can I do this with diminished and melodic minor and whole tone and all that? And I think, yeah, that's cool. Do that later. Do this now. Do the thing where you really focus on a diatonic system so you can really make your fingers and your brain connect. Another interesting and I think quite fascinating aspect of tonal counterpoint is that the 3rds and the 6ths are quite important. They are called imperfect consonances by the people who know about these things in the classical counterpoint world. So in the key of C, for instance, we have thirds and we have sixths. Right? And I played those on this, rather than playing them on a split set, I played them on the same set. So, and then if you exchange those two, so the bottom note of your third goes down a diatonic step, and the top note of your third goes up a diatonic third. So at every degree of the scale, you do this little exchange. Okay, you can do it in any key. Here it is in G. Oh, sorry. It helps if you remember what key you're in. There we go. My ear was still hearing in the key of C. So if we have this little exchange of intervals, by the way, when you play these four notes, if you look at them as a unit, they look like a seventh chord. So C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, flat 5, and C, which are the diatonic chords in the key that us jazz guys understand and think about and know about. So then you can walk those babies up. And then here's where we get into a 2-to-1. So we got ba, 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 da, dee, dum. So I have 1 down here and 2 up there. And take that up the key. And if you like, you can do these kinds of movements. That use sixths and thirds in some sort of exchange, and then you sustain because you can, there's a third and there's a sixth. And you can see that that's like a little D minor 7th type sound. There's a little 2-5-1 in the key of C. So you can start thinking of these things like we jazz players do as chord progressions. So then I can say, you know, 2, 5, 1. And then I'll play a six dominant, which would be like this instead of 6. Let's see, where can I do it? There we go. So I'll go 2, 5, 1. Then, all right, there's my A7. Then back to 2, 5, 1. Those are some interesting things you can try. And then one last thing I like to do is if you're playing play a chord that you might normally play, start with that as a basis, and then move a line in the top or the bottom against a sustained note. I think in classical music counterpoint, this is called oblique motion, right? One note's staying and something below it is moving. And you get this kind of conversation. So I play up the bottom, in the bottom voice, let's say. And then I switch my voices. So I play a static low note and move the top part. And then let's say, and then, a little chromaticism for you there. So those kinds of devices are a way for a more chordal or sort of harmonic oriented thinker like myself to be able to start venturing into the realm of of counterpoint, various kinds of contrary motion or oblique motion or parallel motion. So even the simple thing of playing some parallel type things, and then I split it, and then go with a little bit of contrary motion. And, you know, so there's all these various things you can do. And I just follow my ear where the melodies lead me. To add some variety to either your solo guitar playing, or even when you're comping for somebody, you can use those kinds of figures. So I hope this wasn't too rambly. Mostly I'm just trying to share, in the spirit of Ted, on this anniversary of his death, a subject that is really near and dear to my heart. It's still a work in progress for me that I'm finding on good days I can do it very nicely, and on, you know, if my brain is a little dull, I can't really do it as well. But I'm trying to integrate this type of thinking so that it can sound appropriate for a jazz vocabulary as well. And which involves a lot of accidental chromaticism, I'm afraid. And then, of course, we can get into altered sounds and diminished sounds and those kinds of things, but probably not a good idea to try and go there until you really get it squared away in just diatonic major and minor tonalities. Okay, well, thank you very much for indulging me on this day of remembrance for me, and here's a little something to send you on your way.